That's it. Okay, hello, my name is Colin, and this is Nuclear Energy, a Proposition. You have been lied to! Oh, I'm sorry. I've been told that's a bad way to start off a speech. Let me try that one again. Hello, my name is Colin, and you have still been lied to! But now that the greeting is out of the way, let's get into what you've been lied to about. And as I'm assuming most of you have ears and heard my title, a good guess would be that this is about nuclear energy. And you would be spot on. This speech aims at showing you two things. One, an understanding of how nuclear energy actually works, and two, the pros and the cons of nuclear power. And all throughout the way, I will be showing you the lies, trickery, and misconceptions you have been led to believe about nuclear energy. So take my hand metaphorically as we dive into what this mysterious and powerful power source really is. But first, a disclaimer. Nuclear physics is a subject larger than my hands can display for you, and I'm trying to compress it into a 10-minute speech. A lot of detail will be lost. A lot. If at any moment you don't understand what I'm saying, please don't talk to me. Although it doesn't look like it, I'm reading off a script and I can't answer your questions. However, I do heavily encourage you to do your own research, especially about what interests you. All right, let's get into it, to the first part. How does nuclear energy actually work? The answer, as with many things in this field of physics, is a little interesting. It all starts with one uranium atom. Why uranium? We'll get to that later. The first step is to smash it with a neutron. What's a neutron? To put it simply, it's an elementary particle. It's part of the things that make up atoms. Now, scientists found that when you smash an atom with a neutron, it becomes what we in the biz like to call unstable. It'll explode. Now, uranium's a big atom. It contains 92 protons and 143 neutrons. So when it explodes, it goes big. It splits into krypton, barium, a whole lot of energy, and 3 extra neutrons. That's why we want uranium. That's what makes it so special, because those 3 extra neutrons go off to hit other uranium atoms, starting a chain reaction. Wow, that was a lot of information, huh? Are you guys still with me?
Yeah.
Close enough. Let's keep going. Now, all these explosions of uranium atoms accelerates the neutrons that are coming out of them. And if they go too fast, they'll slip right past their uranium targets. So we put what's called a neutron moderator to slow down the flow of the neutrons. Think of it as the hippie in the nuclear physics world. A neutron moderator slows down the flow of neutrons, which allows the reactions to rise in number. Now, this is the basic principle of slow fission, the process that powers all nuclear reactors. It is important to note in this speech that a nuclear reactor and a nuclear bomb are two very different things. A bomb cannot become a reactor, and a reactor, thank goodness, cannot become a bomb. The easiest way I can describe this is that a nuclear bomb has its energy so tightly condensed, it quite literally implodes on itself. Whereas a nuclear reactor has its fuel spread out through miles and miles and miles of territory. I would explain the differences better, but one, time is of the essence. You all have attention spans, and I won't drag on them. And two, some of the information is highly classified military secrets, the kind of which I do not have access. You're welcome. So let's move on to the second part of the speech, the pros and the cons of nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is an incredibly powerful power source, but I know you'd like to bring my attention to the downsides. What about the radioactivity? What about the mutated animals? What about the deaths? What about maybe some of the accidents? What about Chernobyl? Let's be honest, a few of you might have been thinking about Chernobyl since I started this speech. Let's take a moment on this. On April 25th, 1969, a reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant suffered a catastrophic meltdown. This was due to cut costs, poorly trained personnel, and a lack of reactor shielding that is common in all designs except for this one. Between April 25th and 26th, 190 tons of highly radioactive matter was spewed out into the countryside. 30 people died trying to suppress the disaster, while millions more would feel the radioactive effects, especially in the decades to come. The media has loved covering this disaster and continues to do so today. However, it's not the only disaster related to power. Let's take another example. This time, August 8, 1975, Henan, China. Here, the Benichao Dam burst, a hydroelectric power plant. When this dam burst, it killed up to 240,000 people. You have no idea what I just referred to, do you? You have no idea where Henan, China is, and have no clue what the Benichao Dam was. This is exactly the differences between how the media highlights nuclear energy and other types of energy. You might have noticed in this speech, I talk about the media a lot. Media doesn't really like nuclear energy. It's pretty easy to see why. Most people are told of how powerful it is, yet they have no idea how it works. And it certainly doesn't help that the first widely known use of nuclear energy was exclusively expressed to the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if you get my meaning. It's no wonder that making nuclear energy feasible has been an uphill battle. And now, let's take into account another player, coal. Nobody really likes coal as a power source, do they? And in this speech, I'm no different. If we look at one statistic of coal-related deaths, that is, the deaths due to intake of a hazardous chemical, coal kills 8.7 million people per year. Not 8.7 million people since it started being used, or 8.7 million people in the last 50 years, but 8.7 million people murdered every year. How does that add up to the damages of nuclear energy? Does it? No, not really. Nuclear energy can produce magnitudes more power with infinitely less greenhouse gases, that is to say, none. And unlike its other renewable source friends, it doesn't require sunny days or whenever the wind blows to operate. No, nuclear energy runs independent of all those factors. One fuel load can last it up to 6 years. Now, all this might seem a little theoretical when I'm talking about it, but it's not theoretical. Let's take another example upon the multitudes I provided. This time, it's going to be the entire country of France. France has been using nuclear energy since the 60s, and today it accounts for a large majority of their entire power supply. France currently operates 56 nuclear reactors and has never suffered even a minuscule meltdown. France is a perfect example that although nuclear energy seems really nice theoretically, it can also be put into practice and work beautifully. Well, if I were presenting this speech to a panel of judges, I would be timed. And if I were to be timed, I would see that my clock is running out because the speech runs very tight on time. And this is now the part where I'd be looking at the clock, realizing it's time to wrap it up, and so I'd move on to my conclusion. Here we are at the conclusion. You might be wondering how I'm going to leave you. And I'd like to do so with a message. No, a mindset. When I walked into this room, I told you that you have been lied to. Hopefully throughout this speech, you found that at least somewhat true. Remember how easy it is to blindly follow people, especially if you don't know the topic well. I'm betting none of you have done extensive research into nuclear physics, but I know that all of you have at least some opinion on it. This is the situation I urge you to avoid, because if you don't, this leads you to the same place that has brought lies, trickery, and misconception to the world of nuclear physics. So research your point, because when you're gonna make an argument, or an opinion, or a point, trust me, you're gonna make a few in your life. If your research is grounded in truth and facts, that's more powerful than any nuclear reactor. Thank you.